Good morning, October 2nd, 2016. Sunrise over Mount Diablo in Martinez, California. And this morning I'm going to read Are You My Mother by P.D. Eastman. It's a little dark, so let's see if I can. I think I'll wait on the pictures until the end, or until it's bright enough. Are You My Mother? Written and illustrated by P.D. Eastman. A mother bird sat on her egg. That's really cool. Is it bright enough? There we go. This is dedicated to my mother. Copyright was 1960. The egg jumped. "Oh no," said the mother bird. "My baby will be here. He will want to eat. I must get something for my baby bird to eat," she said. "I will be back." So away she went. The egg jumped. It jumped and jumped and jumped. Out came the baby bird. Jumping egg into baby bird. "Where is my mother?" he said. He looked for her. He looked up. He did not see her. He looked down. He did not see her. When it's brighter, I'll show you the view down the mountain. It's pretty cool. "I will go and look for her," he said. So away he went. Baby bird looking up, baby bird looking down. Down, out of the tree he went. Down, down, down. It was a long way down. The baby bird could not fly. He could not fly, but he could walk. "Now I will go and find my mother," he said. He did not know what his mother looked like. He went right by her. He did not see her. He came to a kitten. "Are you my mother?" he said to the kitten. The kitten just looked and looked. It did not say a thing. The kitten was not his mother, so he went on. Then he came to a hen. "Are you my mother?" he said to the hen. "No," said the hen. The kitten was not his mother. The hen was not his mother. So the baby bird went on. "I have to find my mother," he said. "But where? Where is she? Where could she be?" Then he came to a dog. "Are you my mother?" he said to the dog. "I am not your mother. I am a dog," said the dog. The kitten was not his mother. The hen was not his mother. The dog was not his mother. So the baby bird went on. Now he came to a cow. There's the cow. Going backwards. These pages go a lot faster. "Are you my mother?" he said to the cow. "How could I be your mother?" said the cow. "I am a cow." The kitten and the hen were not his mother. The dog and the cow were not his mother. Did he even have a mother? "I did have a mother," said the baby bird. "I know I did. I have to find her. I will. I will." Now the baby bird did not walk. He ran. Then he saw a car. Could that old thing be his mother? No, it could not. The baby bird did not stop. He ran on and on. Now he looked away. Way down. He saw a boat. "There she is," said the baby bird. He called to the boat, but the boat did not stop. The boat went on. He looked way, way up. He saw a big plane. "Here I am, mother," he called out. But the plane did not stop. The plane went on. Just then the baby bird saw a big, big thing. "This must be his mother. There she is," he said. "There's my mother." "It's not your mother, baby bird." He ran right up to it. "Mother, mother, here I am, mother," he said to the big thing. But the big thing just said, "Snort." "Oh, you are not my mother," said the baby bird. "You are a snort. I have to get out of here." But the baby bird could not get away. The snort went up. It went way, way up. And up, up, up went the baby bird. But now, where was the snort going? "Oh, oh, oh! What is this snort going to do to me? Get me out of here!" Just then, the snort came to a stop. "Where am I?" said the baby bird. "I want to go home. I want my mother." Then something happened. The snort put that baby bird right back in the tree. The baby bird was home. Just then, the mother bird came back to the tree. "Do you know who I am?" she said to her baby. "Yes, I know who you are," said the baby bird. "You are not a kitten. You're not a hen. You're not a dog. You're not a cow. You're not a boat, or a plane, or a snort. You are a bird, and you are my mother." Dedicated to my mother. I love you, Mommy. Mama, we're very lucky to have you. You're down the mountain. This other book I brought, I haven't cracked into yet, so it'll be new for both of us. You probably recognize that name, J.K. Rowling. It's called Very Good Lives: The Fringe Benefits of Failure and the Importance of Imagination. We do not need magic to transform our world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already. When J.K. Rowling was invited to deliver the commencement address at Harvard University, she chose to speak to the graduating class about two topics very close to her heart: the benefits of failure and the importance of imagination. Having the courage to fail, she said, is as vital to a good life as any conventional measure of success. Imagining ourselves in the place of another, particularly someone less fortunate than ourselves, is a uniquely human quality to be nurtured at all costs. The stories Rowling shared and the provocative questions she asked of those young graduates have since inspired countless others to consider what it means to live a good life. Now in print for the first time, Her words serve as both a comfort and a call to arms for anyone of any age who finds themselves at a turning point. In daring to take a risk and perhaps fail, and by harnessing the power of our imaginations, we can all begin to live less cautiously and, in doing so, become more open to the opportunities life has to offer. Sales of this book benefit Lumos, a charity organization founded by J.K. Rowling that works to transform the lives of disadvantaged children and the university-wide financial aid at Harvard University. As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. Seneca. That's the inside flap I just read. President Faust, members of the Harvard Corporation, the boards of overseers, members of the faculty, proud parents, and above all, graduates. The first thing I would like to say is thank you. Not only has Harvard given me an extraordinary honor, but the weeks of fear and nausea I have endured at the thought of giving this commencement address have made me lose weight, a win-win situation. Now all I have to do is take deep breaths, squint at the road banners, and convince myself that I am at the world's largest Gryffindor reunion. Delivering a commencement address is a great responsibility, or so I thought until I cast my mind back to my own graduation. The commencement speaker that day was a distinguished British philosopher, Baroness Mary Warnock. Reflecting on her speech has helped me enormously in writing this one, because it turns out that I can't remember a single word she said. The liberating discovery enables me to proceed without any fear that I might inadvertently influence you to abandon promising careers in business, the law, or politics for the giddy delights of becoming a gay wizard. You see, if all you remembered in years to come is the gay wizard joke, I've come out ahead of Baroness Mary Warnock. Achievable goals, the first step to self-improvement. Achievable goals, the first step to self-improvement. Actually, I've racked my mind and heart for what I ought to say to you today. I've asked myself what I wish I had known at my own graduation and what important lessons I have learned in the 21 years that have expired between that day and this. The importance of imagination. I've come up with 2 answers. On this wonderful day, when we are gathered together to celebrate your academic success, I've decided to talk to you about the benefits of failure. As you stand on the threshold of what is sometimes called real life, I want to extol the crucial importance of imagination. Uneasy, and that word is balance. This may seem quixotic or paradoxical choices, but please bear with me. Looking back at the 21-year-old that I was at graduation is a slightly uncomfortable experience for my 42-year-old that has become. Half my lifetime ago, I was striking an uneasy balance between the ambition I had for myself and what those closest to me expected of me. Wow, that's a big mosquito that just escaped. Let's hope I catch her before she catches me. Mountain skeeter. Let's continue. Half my lifetime ago, I was striking an uneasy balance between the ambition I had for myself and what those closest to me expected of me. I was convinced that the only thing I wanted to do ever was write novels. However, my parents, both of whom came from impoverished backgrounds, and neither of whom had been to college, took the view that my overactive imagination was an amusing personal quirk that would never pay a mortgage or secure a pension. I know that the irony strikes with the force of a cartoon anvil now, because she's really, 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 really rich off of writing novels. So they hoped that I would take a vocational degree. I wanted to study English literature. A compromise was reached in retrospect, satisfied nobody, and I went up to study modern languages. Hardly had my parents' car rounded the corner at the end of the road that I ditched German and scuttled off down the classics corridor. I cannot remember telling my parents that I was studying classics. They might well have found out for the first time on graduation day. Of all the subjects on this planet, I think they would have been hard put to name one less useful than Greek mythology when it came to securing the keys to an executive bathroom. I would like to make it clear, in parentheses, that I do not blame my parents for their point of view. There is an expiration date on blaming your parents for steering you in the wrong direction. The moment you are old enough to take the wheel, responsibility lies with you. What is more, I could not criticize my parents for hoping that I would never experience poverty. They had been poor themselves, and I had since been poor. And I quite agree with them that this is not an ennobling experience. Poverty entails fear and stress, and sometimes depression. It means 1,000 petty humiliations and hardships. Climbing out of poverty by your own efforts, that is something on which to pride yourself. But poverty itself is romanticized only by fools. I'll read and not note my own opinions on the matter right now. What I feared most for myself at your age was not poverty, but failure. At your age, in spite of a distinct lack of motivation at university, where I had spent far too long in the coffee bar writing stories and far too little time at lectures, I had a knack for passing examinations, and that, for years, had been the measure of success in my life and that of my peers. I am not dull enough to suppose that because you are young, gifted, and well-educated, you have never known hardship or heartache. Talent and intelligence never yet inoculated anyone against the caprice of the fates, and I do not for a moment suppose that everyone here has enjoyed an existence of unruffled privilege and contentment. However, the fact that you are graduating from Harvard suggests that you are not very well acquainted with failure. You might be driven by a fear of failure quite as much as a desire for success. Indeed, your conception of failure might not be too far removed from the average person's idea of success. So high have you already flown. Mountaintop sunrise is a thing. Holy moly, that's beautiful. I wonder if it's brighter on the other side or no. And it's cloudy. There's a 10% chance of rain today. And I don't think it's rained in a long time, so cool. I was the biggest failure I know. Some big quotes right there. Ultimately, we all have to decide for ourselves what constitutes failure. But the world is quite eager to give you a set of criteria, if you let it. So I think it fair to say that by any conventional measure, a mere 7 years after my graduation day, I had failed on an epic scale. An exceptionally short-lived marriage had imploded, and I was jobless, a lone parent, and as poor as it is possible to be in modern Britain without being homeless. The fears that my parents had for me, and that I had for myself, had both come to pass, and by every usual standard, I was the biggest failure I knew. Now I am not going to stand here and tell you that failure is fun. That period of my life was a dark one, and I had no idea that there was going to be what the press has since represented as a kind of fairy tale resolution. I had no idea then how far the tunnel extended, and for a long time any light at the end of it was a hope rather than a reality. So why do I talk about the benefits of failure? Wow, that's a big mosquito. But since I've been here, I haven't been bitten that I know of. Maybe she's just trying to hear the story. So why do I talk about the benefits of failure? Simply because failure meant a stripping away of the inessential. I stopped pretending to myself that I was anything other than what I was, and began to direct all my energy into finishing the only work that mattered to me. Had I really succeeded at anything else, I might have never found the determination to succeed in the one arena where I believed I truly belonged. I was set free because my greatest fear had been realized, and I was still alive. And I still had a daughter whom I adored, and I had an old typewriter and a big idea. And so rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. Got allergies up here too, apparently. You might never fail on the scale I did, but some failure in life is inevitable. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default. Failure gave me an inner security that I had never attained by passing examinations. Failure taught me things about myself that I could have never learned, that I could have learned no other way. I discovered that I had a strong will and more discipline than I had suspected. I also found that I had friends whose value was truly above the price of rubies. The knowledge that you have emerged wiser and stronger from setbacks means that you are, ever after, secure in your ability to survive. You will never truly know yourself or the strength of your relationships until both have been tested by adversity. Such knowledge is a true gift, for all that is painfully won, and it has been worth more than any qualification I've ever earned. So given a time turner, I would tell my 21-year-old self that personal happiness lies in knowing that life is not a checklist of acquisition or achievement. Your qualifications, your CV, are not your life, though you will meet many people of my age and older who confuse the two. Life is difficult and complicated and beyond anyone's total control, and the humility to know that will enable you to survive its vicissitudes. Good word. Vicissitudes. Now, you might think that I chose my second theme, the importance of imagination, because of the part it played in rebuilding my life. But that's not wholly so. Though I personally will defend the value of bedtime stories to my last gasp, ooh, she'd be happy about this then, I have learned to value imagination in a much broader sense. Imagination is not only the uniquely human capacity to envision that which is not, and therefore the fount of all invention and innovation. In its arguably most transformative and revelatory capacity, it is the power that enables us to empathize with humans whose experiences we have never shared. One of the greatest formative experiences of my life preceded Harry Potter, though it informed much of what I subsequently wrote in those books. This revelation came in the form of one of my earliest day jobs. Though I was sloping off to write stories during my lunch hours, I paid the rent in my early 20s by working at the African Research Department of Amnesty International's headquarters in London. There in my little office, I read hastily scribbled letters smuggled out of totalitarian regimes by men and women who were risking imprisonment to inform the outside world of what was happening to them. I saw photographs of those who had disappeared without a trace, sent to amnesty by their desperate families and friends. I read the testimony of torture victims and saw pictures of their injuries. I opened handwritten eyewitness accounts of summary trials and executions, of kidnappings and rapes. Many of my coworkers were ex-political prisoners, people who had been displaced from their homes or fled into exile because they had the temerity to speak against their governments. Watch beep. Visitors to our offices included those who had come to give information or to try to find out what had happened to those who had left behind, those they had left behind. Wow, what a pretty view. I shall never forget the African torture victim, a young man no older than I was at the time, who had become mentally ill after all he'd endured in his homeland. He trembled uncontrollably as he spoke into a video camera about the brutality inflicted upon him. He was a foot taller than I was and seemed as fragile as a child. I was given the job of escorting him back to the underground station afterward, and this man whose life had been shattered by cruelty took my hand with exquisite courtesy and wished me future happiness. As long as I live, I shall remember walking along an empty corridor and suddenly hearing, from behind a closed door, a scream of pain and horror such as I had never heard since. The door opened and the researcher poked out her head and told me to run and make a hot drink for the young man sitting with her. She had just had to give him the news that in retaliation for his own outspokenness against his country's regime, his mother had been seized and executed. Every day, my working week in my early 20s, I was reminded how incredibly fortunate I was to live in a country with a democratically elected government, LOL, where legal representation and a public trial were rights of everyone. Every day I saw more evidence of the evils humankind will inflict on their fellow humans to gain or maintain power. I began to have nightmares, literal nightmares, about some of the things I saw, heard, and read. And yet I also learned about human goodness at Amnesty International than I had ever known before. Amnesty mobilizes thousands of people who have never been tortured or imprisoned for their beliefs to act on behalf of those who have. The power of human empathy leads to collective action. The power of human empathy leading to collective action saves lives and frees prisoners. That's worth saying again. The power of human empathy leading to collective action saves lives and frees prisoners. Ordinary people whose personal well-being and security are assured join together in huge numbers to save people they do not know and will never meet. My small participation in that process was one of the most humbling and inspiring experiences of my life. Mine too. Thank you, CCI. YWPC and Chandra and Sharon, love you. Shout out. Unlike any other creature on this planet, human beings can learn and understand without having experienced. They can think themselves into other people's places. Of course, this is a power, like my brand of fictional magic, that is morally neutral. One might use such an ability to manipulate or control just as much as to understand or sympathize. They can think themselves into other people's places. They can refuse to know. and many prefer not to exercise their imaginations at all. They choose to remain comfortably within the bounds of their own experience, never troubling to wonder how it would feel to have been born other than they are. They can refuse to hear screams or to peer inside cages. They can close their minds and hearts to any suffering that does not touch them personally. They can refuse to know. I might be tempted to envy people who can live that way, except that I do not think that they have any fewer nightmares than I do. Choosing to live in narrow spaces leads to a form of mental agoraphobia, and that brings its own terrors. I think the willfully unimaginative see more monsters. They are often more afraid. What's more, those who choose not to empathize enable real monsters. For without ever committing an act of outright evil ourselves, we collude with it through our own apathy. One of the many things I learned at the end of that classics corridor, down which I ventured at the age of 18 in search of something I could not then define, was this, written by the Greek author Plutarch: "What we achieve inwardly will change outer reality." What we achieve inwardly will change outer reality. That is an astonishing statement, and yet proven 1,000 times every day of our lives. It expresses, in part, our inescapable connection with the outside world, the fact that we touch other people's lives simply by existing. But how much more are you, Harvard graduates of 2008, likely to touch other people's lives, or people listening at home? Your intelligence, your capacity for hard work, the education you have earned and received gives you unique status and unique responsibilities. Even your nationality sets you apart. The great majority of you belong to the world's only remaining superpower. The way you vote, the way you live, the way you protest, the pressure you bring to bear on your government has an impact way beyond your borders. That is your privilege and your burden. If you choose to use your status and influence to raise your voice on behalf of those who have no voice, if you choose to identify not only with the powerful but with the powerless, if you retain the ability to imagine yourself into the lives of those who do not have your advantages, then it will not only be your proud families who celebrate your existence, but thousands and millions of people whose reality you have helped change. We do not need magic to transform our world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already. We have the power to imagine better. I am nearly finished. I have one last hope for you, which is something that I already had at 21. The friends with whom I sat on graduation day have been my friends for life. They are my children's godparents, the people to whom I've been able to turn in times of real trouble, people who have been kind enough not to sue me when I took their names for Death Eaters. At our graduation, we were bound by enormous affection, by our shared experience of a time that could never come again, and, of course, by the knowledge that we held certain photographic evidence that would be exceptionally valuable if any of us ran for Prime Minister. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's beautiful. Oh my God, Andy, would you look at that?
It's amazing. You can't put a dollar sign on that.
God, I wish it could capture, but it can't. I wish you guys were here. Or maybe you're watching your own. Maybe it's more beautiful. It's pretty spectacular, though.
Before we leave, we have to go there.
Oh, yeah, we'll go there. So today, I wish you nothing better than similar friendships. And tomorrow, I hope that even if you remember not a single word of mine, you remember those of Seneca, another of those old Romans I met when I fled down the classics corridor in retreat from career ladders in search of ancient wisdom. As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. I wish you all very good lives. Thank you very much. Wow. That's spectacular.
Hey, do you see over there? You see how there's the mountain and the light going through the clouds at the bottom of the clouds?
Yeah.
My camera won't take.
No, there's no way to capture that. Posing for a picture, I didn't realize I was. I'm actually in a really good spot for it too. That's good. You can stand there and take a picture too, man. Or watch your step though, dude. That's seriously. But look, man, you're right in the shot. If you just stand there, I'll take a screenshot off the computer later. Like pose yourself where you're wanting to be. You see how you're in it? Cool. That's good. Man. I hope it's capturing half as good as it looks in person. Oh, and it's starting to peek out now. Wow.
See it.
Wow.
getting up at 5 o'clock for?
I can hear the turkey somewhere. If it weren't so dangerous, I'd go look at those little yellow flowers that are on the side of the mountain, but I couldn't safely make it down there and back. I'd like to see them up close, though. Don't, man. Yo! Andy, man! Is it good that way? How does it look that way?
Best seat in the house.
Because it's Sunday morning. Look how empty the highway is, the interstate is. I'm gonna be able to fly on that thing like 200 miles per hour. Oh, I was gonna stop it, but it still looks pretty beautiful. I think I'll let it go for a while. I hope it's recording. Maybe I'll stop it and then start the next one.